Okay, my pleasure to be here. Thank you very much. And today we're going to be talking a little bit about what's going on in the air around our Sapphire eyes. Our Sapphire eyes have really nice antenna arrays inside them. And let me show you something here. So just give me the thumbs up if you can see my screen okay. All right, great. The first report that I wanted to share with you guys is this beacon availability report. Okay, we've been talking today about how sometimes the signal gets obstructed. And a great way to kind of detect if that's happening is, what's the beacon availability? Can the Sapphire Eye actually hear the beacon or see the beacon all the time? It really should be 100% of the time. But if you have inventory moving in and out, or there's something a little strange going on in the environment, some kind of obstruction, like we were saying before, something wrong with an antenna perhaps, it could show up on this report right here. Now here you can see, you follow my mouse, once again, we expect to get a beacon 100% of the time, and for most of these access points we do. However, for this one right here, it's up and down and all over the place. And so this is perhaps a surefire sign that there's some kind of obstruction or some kind of antenna problem, okay, when it's so inconsistent like this. And this will also show up in the next report that I'm going to show you, and that is this radio attach success rate. So you can see that same green access point. If we can't hear a beacon, then we're not going to be able to associate or attach to the radio. The one goes hand in hand with the other, and it shows up really well on this chart as well. So those are some really good ones right there that I just want to invite you guys to, if you have 7 Signal or if you're evaluating it, to take a look at for trying to find some of these situations where there's obstructions, there's maybe antenna problems. These things do happen. All right, let's move on. The last thing I'd like to show you is to move over to this frames section of Sapphire Analyzer. And there's a couple really neat things that, again, the antennas inside 7 Signal are able to pluck out of the air and then calculate these really neat metrics as a result, which characterize the kind of traffic and what's going on in the environment and in the air all around. So the first one here is this total traffic density from AP. And you can see here, it's measured in frames per minute. I'm going to call upon my Wi-Fi expert and brother and partner here at 7 Signal, Jim Vada, to kind of step in and tell us how when he looks at total traffic density from the AP's point of view and measured in frames per minute. Jim, I was hoping that you could kind of give a layman's definition of what this tells you.
Sure. Yeah, it's actually simpler than it looks, because we're just, in this case, counting the number of frames that AP is transmitting and then putting that in a rate. So the number of frames, regardless of their size or what type of frame they are, how many is that AP transmitting per minute when we're measuring it.
Okay.
And then we do go further in our advanced KPIs and break that into data frames and control frames and management frames. So you can go even deeper with it if you want to.
Wow, that's great. So one of the things that it's able to do then is kind of show us or characterize, the busyness or what's going on in terms of, how much traffic there is on the network, which is really nice.
Yeah, for sure. Just like you showed, that would be one to use in concert with beacon availability. If I'm seeing that I'm not getting beacons from an AP, that's a really bad situation. And maybe I just want to see how many frames am I getting at all from this AP when we're listening for it.
There you go. Great. Excellent. Excellent. And then one other one I wanted to show you here was this data volume. Okay, so this is the download data volume that's coming, from these different access points here. And this is measured in kilobits per second. And one of the ways that I describe this, Jim, is I kind of look at this as, okay, it kind of characterizes maybe the kind of traffic that's going over my network. Are these big frames? Are these little frames? Is this just a bunch of email traffic? Or are we talking about big, huge files like video files and audio files? Is that an accurate way to kind of depict what we're seeing here?
Yeah, that's right. So here we're kind of sampling the traffic here in the downlink direction from the AP. And during our sampling period, which is about 90 seconds by default, we're just measuring how much data came through on that during that period, and then showing it to you in terms of kilobits per second or
Yep.
megabits per second. So you can see how much, how many, what the sort of 802.11 bit rate is with real traffic.
Nice, very nice. That's great. And then I also wanted to show down here, we are, like you said a moment ago, we're breaking out, the management traffic, and we can actually see, okay, the probe requests and the probe responses, as well as, the beaconing that's taking place from all of the different SSIDs that we're monitoring out there, and we can actually see or hear uh, how much of the airtime is being utilized by just this management overhead traffic. And when you see something like this at 20% or 15%, boy, that is way, way up there. What I would hope to see is something down here in like, 2 or 2%. Now, one of the things that I'm going to do is I'm actually going to filter out 2.4, and I'm going to run the report again because I'm really curious to see what the beacon utilization is on 5 gigahertz. And look at that. Now my top value, as you can see right there, is 3%. And it's mostly in the 1 to 2% range. That's really, really interesting. And obviously, there are going to be differences between 2.4 and 5, and that's what we do at 7 Signal. We actually are able to separate these things out. We're able to slice and dice in order to help you identify, okay, where precisely is the issue? Does it have to do with the band? Does it have to do with the access point? Does it have to do with something in the environment, in the air, that's causing an issue? So that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. And that's our time for 7 minutes with 7 Signal. And remember, you and me, we can't see or hear Wi-Fi, but 7 Signal can. Thanks for joining us, everybody.